That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 110 of Hardest Part of the Ring. Is this a good idea, guys? Trying to do something a bit spooky and slow?
I like it. I like it a lot. It's very Halloween for the middle of May.
I'll be honest though, when you started, I was like, oh my god, Adam's already fucked up the start, and it's literally only 2 seconds in.
I think we're keeping this in. This is the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam, and I'm doing very well, thanks, guys, so you don't need to ask that. Sam, how are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good too. Thanks for asking.
John, how are you, John?
Good. Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
Brett, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'll just
Good.
go along with everyone else. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we don't need to do any big catch-ups on what we've been up to because we're starting a new series of podcasts that are hopefully going to be timeless, so nobody wants to hear about the coronavirus. But even if you listen to this in 10 years' time, I imagine we'll still be social distancing in some format anyway.
You guys have been social distancing from me for years.
We have.
We hoped you hadn't noticed, Sam.
Yeah.
My feelings.
So, before we get on to what we're here to discuss today, the last podcast we did last week was episode 109, which was our discussion about Money in the Bank 2020, which, in hindsight, and having spoken to a couple of people who I know, friends, you can call them friends, who listen to the podcast, we scored that pretty highly, didn't we?
Did other people score it lowly? Low?
Well, I spoke to two people, and both of them were like, wow, you guys really rated Money in the Bank. Thought it was all right.
It was very good, I thought.
Yeah.
I stand by that.
Stand by it. Call them out. Let's call them out. Put the money where the mouth is. Let's do it.
I've got to ask, if you didn't like Money in the Bank, what do you like about wrestling?
Have you got somebody on the line?
Yeah. No, that's my rebuttal. That's my question to them. If you don't like Money in the Bank, what do you like about wrestling? Because that had everything that was fun about it, other than wrestling.
And fans.
Fans.
Yeah.
Cheering.
It didn't have the wrestling. That is
Coherent
quite a key part.
storyline. Yeah. You know what? I retract that.
So that was the last podcast, and we've been teasing what we're going to do today for a little while, because this podcast, and I should say actually, keep your ears locked in, because later on we've got a bit of a giveaway coming up, which is all very exciting. But this podcast is The Undertaking, Volume 1. And I'm going to hand over to the man whose idea this was, so if it all fails miserably, it'll all be his fault. It's Sam. What are we doing? What is The Undertaking, Sam?
Oh, Adam, I'm glad you asked. The Undertaking is a career retrospective of the pay-per-view events that The Undertaker's participated in. So, The Undertaker has been in 174 pay-per-view matches from like 1990 all the way up to as recent as last month. That's wild.
30 years.
Yeah.
Easy maths.
It's just, yeah, it's wild. It's so much more than... I don't think I could imagine me doing anything for 30 years.
Hopefully living.
Maybe, we'll see. But over the course of these 174 matches, we're going to see wrestling styles and conventions evolve and watch the dead man move alongside with it. We're going to see all his different gimmicks, all the movesets, all the feuds, the levels of popularity. This is going to become like an archive of WWE history told through the consistent presence of the Phenom himself. So that's The Undertaking. How are we feeling, guys? We excited?
Very excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this.
Super. Although I've just realised 174 pay-per-views. We've done 110 episodes now, and it's taken us how many years?
3 years. Give or take.
So this is literally
Oh my
is
God.
quite an undertaking.
That's why the name works so well.
Yeah.
We are going to be certified Undertaker experts by the end of this.
Well, I mean,
Or we're going to be as uninformed as we are about the rest of wrestling.
I'm banking on that.
We just don't
I'd
know.
say by the end of this, we'll be fairly clued up on The Undertaker's last 2 or 3 matches, but we will have forgotten everything else we talked about, because that's how it works.
That's very true. So, question for you guys. I mean, yeah, what are you guys looking forward to out of The Undertaker's career? He's had such a long and storied one.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to the Limp Bizkit Taker Biker phase.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, the matches with Shawn Michaels.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm definitely looking forward to the early Taker years, through the 90s. Enjoying, Bret Hitman Hart being around.
Yeah, that's a solid shout. He's already appearing quite early on.
does.
Adam, how about yourself?
I'm just looking forward to using it as a way of sort of watching a load of stuff that I haven't watched yet, because there's a big old period of years where I was not watching. And so there's a lot of absolute classic matches that I've heard about or read about or heard other people talk about on other podcasts that I haven't actually watched. So, I mean, obviously some of the Shawn Michaels matches I have seen, but I was thinking apparently he had some pretty good matches with Batista, and the Batista's somebody else who I have seen lots of Undertaker matches, but I haven't seen very many Batista matches. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing that feud. All of it, let's be honest,
sure.
all of it. Even the Saudi Arabia matches.
Oh,
Those are
is
in
that
there.
included? Oh,
Those are included. Don't worry. That's not going to be till like 2025. Do you know what I'm looking forward to quite a lot? Is kind of when he went through that kidnapping phase where he started making a Ministry of Darkness and just kidnapping fat
love
men.
the Ministry of Darkness, and I'm very excited to relive that, because in my mind I remember that being like the greatest storyline WWE have ever done.
Right?
They're straight in with the greatest there, John.
No, in my mind, Brett, I did put a little caveat there in my mind. I remember where it probably isn't, but I love that storyline.
You guys may have noticed in recent weeks, John has taken on the superlative of everything is recently the greatest thing
Best
to him.
match he's ever
So
seen.
it's very enthusiastic.
I mean, this is why Money in the Bank rated so highly, and
I don't think I gave it the highest rating.
You did say
I'm not sure
you
you
did
did,
say it
actually.
featured the best Tamina match you've ever seen, but I think we all agreed with you.
well, thankfully, Tamina is not on the agenda here. We're going to talk about Mean Mark Calloway, and we're going to start with a little bit of history, a history lesson for you all. Mean Mark Calloway. He started his wrestling career in 1987, training under Buzz Sawyer.
Oh, that's a good
I've never
wrestling
heard of
name,
him.
isn't it? That's a good wrestling
Yeah.
name.
It is. Apparently, he described him as kind of a bit rubbish as a trainer, which, I suppose kind of when you're training one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, it's going to be a big ask, I guess. But he started his career in early promotions of WCCW and USWA, wrestling as a guy called Texas Red, a masked wrestler. And we've watched his debut match where he got absolutely battered by a Rob Zombie lookalike called Bruiser Brody.
Yes, Sam sent around a video earlier today and said, "Oh, guys, if you've got time, then maybe you could watch his debut." I was like, "Oh, it was 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I can handle that."
A 3-minute squash in which he got battered.
Yeah, that
He did.
as I've started to begin to learn about Bruiser Brody was his way. He did mention it on the Stone Cold, because obviously Taker was on Broken Skull Sessions, and he mentioned that like he was super green in that match, and he did a couple of things straight off the bat, not really thinking. And then he ended up like trying to call a clothesline, and Bruiser was like just came back with a boot, floored him, and then continued to kick him a few more times, and that was it, I think. And a chair shot.
Rough introduction indeed. Amazing enough, he was accompanied and managed by Percy Pringle, best known as Paul Bearer. So
Even back then,
Yeah.
really.
yeah, that's incredible stuff. That what a relationship. But he would go on to wrestle as the Master of Pain, feuding with Jerry the King Lawler, I suppose, before joining WCW as Mean Mark Callis. And by this point, he's already kind of cutting a morbid figure. The framework was being built to create one of the most enduring characters in all of wrestling back in WCW, which is not a sentence I think anyone ever would say.
Hey, come on.
Sorry. And it was at this time he'd begin taking guidance under a Paul Lee Dangerously, best known as Paul Heyman. So, yeah. I don't know if you would say Undertaker's a Paul Heyman guy, but...
What are we talking? What kind of
Maybe.
guidance are we talking here? Are we talking like late night chats, or was Paul Heyman sending like infographics, move sets, or I want more details.
Graphics of movesets.
More detail. I mean, kind of Paul Heyman's guidance back then was probably snort this and put yourself through this,
Yeah.
and we'll see what
And going
happens.
to some China club or something.
Yeah.
The wrestler?
Call back.
Oh.
Nice.
However, during contract renewal talks, Ole Anderson told the dead man nobody would ever pay money to watch him perform.
Where's Ole Anderson now? Hey,
What, one of the Four Horsemen?
exactly. Dead.
doing nothing.
Is he dead?
So
I'm just assuming.
I'm not sure. I think
Just checked.
Arna's still
he's still
alive and kicking.
He's still very much alive. He's 77, and good luck to you, Ole Anderson.
Okay,
Man, Adam's starting some beef with the Anders.
that's cool. I can't wait to see Adam get spine busted.
He's 77. I reckon I could take him. He shouldn't be out. He shouldn't be out at the moment anyway. So
my days.
Double
That's
risk.
bold. So, according to Bruce Pritchard, aka Brother Love, more on him later, there was speculative interest in Mark Calloway joining the WWF, and this would culminate in Vince McMahon attending one of his matches. That Mean Mark Calloway, or Mean Mark Callis, would wrestle with a dislocated hip. I don't even know how you dislocate your hip. That's wild.
How do you move if
Yeah.
you've dislocated your hip?
Yeah, that's mad.
Maybe that's absolutely mental. Maybe he was showing Vince what it'd be like for 2020 Taker or something.
So do we know?
This is the future.
Was he just hard as nails and he had a dislocated hip and he just was like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm going to wrestle," or was it like Vince is watching. He's scouting me. I've got to wrestle. I've got to get through this.
I think it must be the latter. I mean, apparently, so Vince McMahon wasn't actually interested. He wasn't taken from this at all. So maybe he didn't put on a great
Is
show.
it because Taker was walking around in circles because he had one hip that was slightly
Maybe.
He's lying on the canvas the whole time.
screaming.
Could very well be.
He did speak
And
about
he's really selling that clothesline.
his first meeting with Vince McMahon, expecting to get a job, and there was no job for him on that occasion. So,
Right.
Exactly. However, from some persuasion from Brother Love, the two met again on August 24th, 1990. And whatever happened in that meeting was a mystery. It obviously went well, but this could be said it is the most literal interpretation of a man selling his soul to the devil.
Yes.
As just 2 months later, The Undertaker would debut at Survivor Series 1990.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. So without further ado, I will introduce to you now my mystery partner, led to the ring by his manager, Brother Love, weighing in at 320 pounds from Death Valley. I give you The Undertaker. The Undertaker, the mystery partner, is now revealed. I never heard of him. Oh, take a holy cow! Look at the size of that ham hock! Check out them drumsticks, baby! 320 pounds, looks to be 6'9", 6'10", somewhere in that neighborhood, Rod. 6'10"? I don't know, it's hard to tell from here. Holy cow!
Match 1. Survivor Series 1990. That's right, we're going to count every single match because we're like Sesame Street
Here
here.
we go, guys. We'll never have our first Undertaker match again. This is it.
Survivor Series 1990 was the 4th annual Survivor Series pay-per-view taking place on Thanksgiving in Hartford, Connecticut. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase had purchased the services of a mystery partner to join him in the Survivor Series match versus Dusty Rhodes' Dream Team. Undertaker, part of the $1 Million team, was the Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, Ted DiBiase, accompanied with managers Brother Love, Jimmy Hart and Virgil, 3 managers, versus the Dream Team, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
That's quite a team, that, isn't it? The Dream Team. That's a good team.
Yeah, solid. I've got to say, Undertaker, I was really pleased to see that right from the off, from match 1, day 1, that he had a hat that was slightly too small for him and left a mark on his forehead. I sort of assumed that
It's
that
a
was
Taker
something that
classic.
had happened when he got older, and maybe it's easier for a head to get a welt on it when you're very old. But no, day 1, and that's my analysis.
Do you reckon that's the same hat the whole time? Like he's always been wearing
That would be
He
amazing.
must have gone through a few by now.
Yeah.
Like, what, 30 years? There's no way it's the same.
If it
hat.
was the same one, it would be
He's
worth
had
a
his share of
fortune.
Inferno matches.
Yeah, he probably left it on loads of like strip clubs after shows and all sorts.
Definitely. Well, he's left it on loads of strippers.
Yeah, yeah.
Goodness.
Did
So-
anyone else? I had no idea he was managed by Brother Love.
yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I was so
This
surprised by
was
that.
always such a strange thing was that he was introduced by Ted DiBiase and managed by Brother Love, and it just always felt like a kind of it's a huge juxtaposition in itself,
Yeah.
isn't it? Kind of having Brother Love with this Frankenstein-esque wrestler.
So cool to have a debut at a pay-per-view as well, though. like
Yeah,
not on your
massively
weekly shows, Superstars, whatever it was back then, or it's like Survivor Series, mystery person, and the fact that someone like the Undertaker, obviously he wasn't him then, but a presence like that coming in on a debut, unknown.
So, fun fact about the Undertaker's debut: he was making it on the Survivor Series pay-per-view as the mystery partner, but they recorded 2 episodes of Superstars that same day, where he was on it, and he was billed as Kane the Undertaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a couple of squash matches. It's interesting because obviously, like, even though these matches technically happened before the Survivor Series match, the commentary was talking about how dominant he was in the Survivor Series match. So, yeah, tape delay, the wonders of that, I guess.
That's crazy. What did we all think of his outfit?
Oh yeah, can we talk about this?
The ring gear. Let's talk about
I
it.
love this outfit. I love the ripped sort of disheveledness of it. I thought that was really cool. What I really, really loved though, has got to be that ginger mullet. Why did you get rid of that?
It's superb, isn't it? The mullet's on show throughout this whole, I was going to say the whole pay-per-view. I didn't watch the whole pay-per-view, but throughout the Survivor Series match. And then the other match we're going to talk about later. Just mullet central. It's just excellent. But I thought, when you say like the ripped effect, I would have preferred it if the shirt had actually been ripped, but it was very much sort of Halloween costume cut with scissors to have a jaggedy edge.
Yes.
Oh yeah, but
yeah.
it needs to be that, because like from where you're watching, you're never going to be up close. So if it was just ripped, it'd be like too neat looking in a way. Like
That's
the
a good
tears
point.
would be too thingy. It needs to be exaggerated. This is the 90s, Adam. Nothing can be small.
Always thinking about the aesthetics. That makes a lot of sense.
It's got to be
Yeah.
massive. I particularly, going to sound creepy, but I was really fond of his guns as well.
Oh, his arms looked amazing.
His arms were beautiful.
Big.
Yeah, agreed.
He had such a presence about him as well. Like, he really did stand out, mainly because everyone was kind of jacked, but he was in sort of black. But he's so big and tall.
Now, does the Undertaker wrestle with all that gear on?
I don't think so. I don't know. I've never seen the guy before.
Either have I.
We'll find out very shortly
Just
here.
some guy they dug up someplace, huh? Oh, sorry.
Like kind of starting the match against Bret Hart, and kind of like, you're in the ring with the excellence of execution and you're throwing him around like a rag doll, and it was just like kind of a real start to the match to kind of show off how intimidating a presence he is. And then when Jim the Anvil Neidhart gets in the ring and you see the comparative size difference between them, it really demonstrates how massive he was.
What I liked about when I was watching this, because obviously he gets spoken a lot about no selling, because that's part of the gimmick. And I think like apparently it was meant to have made some of the veterans a bit hot that, he would no sell.
Yeah.
This new kid coming in. But like when I was watching it, it's like, it's not that he no sells, because every hit sort of thing, when he's getting punched and stuff, like he's taking that hit.
Yeah.
You see him hitting it, but he's straight away back sort of thing. And that's where the cool bit is, where for me, the myth and mystical bit comes, because like he's showing he's being hit hard, but he's straight back. And that's what he was doing in this.
This is what I think makes The Undertaker such an excellent wrestler, and just kind of the bigger lexicon of wrestling is the fact that out of everyone, he's the person who kind of really blurs the line between character and kind of athlete and stuff. It's, really living the gimmick.
I enjoyed the commentary team. I thought they did a decent job of selling the character and sort of pretending they had no idea who he was or where he came from.
Yeah, it was good. They did a good job there.
As did the audience, like the camera shots on his walk in as well. Like they were truly shocked by him.
Just for the listeners, commentary team of Gorilla Monsoon and Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, was that
It's
for
not
this
bad,
one? I
is
thought
it?
that was for Rumble. Oh, yeah.
That's for both.
Was it for
Oh,
both?
was it both?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird having Roddy on comms.
It really is. It kind of it gives me hope for Joe
Oh, yeah.
on comms. Might come back to wrestling.
I
one
love
day.
Gorilla, though. I think he's my favourite play-by-play guy. I love Gorilla.
Best of all time, would you say, John?
Not my words. I couldn't say that, Adam.
But I enjoyed this match.
I love
overall
this
because
match.
I think
yeah.
it's a really good match.
Yeah, it's fun.
we've said that, obviously there's going to be the majority of these Undertaker matches are going to be Undertaker singles matches, but we sort of had a chat and said, what are we going to do when it's a multi-man or it's a Rumble or a Survivor Series? And we said, well, we're not just going to review the it might just be 2 minutes that he's in the ring, so we'll have to review the whole match. And I thought it was frenetic action throughout. It was just go. I thought for a Survivor Series match, it was good fun.
A real combination of styles. There's a lot of legendary wrestlers in the ring as well, like Ted DiBiase, Bret Hart, Dusty Rhodes, Koko B. Ware, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and the Undertaker, all in the ring at the same time.
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
the Honky Tonk Man was there too.
Koko B. Ware wasn't there for long, was he?
No. So
he was
Good God.
hung up on the ropes, which, let me tell you from my very small experience, the ropes are tough. They hurt. And he went up quite high and landed looks like right across his top.
Yes.
Around his neck. I was just fucking hell, that would kill.
Did look nasty, yeah.
Yeah, so Koko gets thrown into the ropes. Does he get his head stomped on as well, or was that someone else?
I don't know. He got the sketchy. It's nice to see on his debut at this stage that Taker wasn't this perfect oiled machine yet. Character wise, he was there, but the wrestling, the tombstone was there, but it was not a clean tombstone.
It wasn't pretty, was it?
No.
But it certainly was effective. He got the 3 count on Koko, 1 minute 39 seconds into the match.
Outsmarted and outstrength.
Look at this.
Hanging on to him like a sack of blow.
Oh, he just got nailed with a tombstone.
What is it?
I think it's a tombstone, and it's over. It's over for that guy.
It sure was a tombstone. Holy guacamole.
Boy, did he write an epitaph for Koko.
The main problem was that, and I'm sure Vince would have been screwing, he faced the wrong way. He wasn't facing to hard cam when he did the pin.
Yeah.
Taker, your first ever tombstone in WWF, your first ever pin, and you do that.
How about that though? Koko B. Ware gets to be the person, he's I took the first ever tombstone.
Yeah, that's a great pub quiz question, isn't it?
That is
hard. Really hard.
Says Adam, writing that down for the next quiz.
Yeah.
So Taker would go on to obviously wrestle everyone else in the match, and he would get the pinfall as well on a little-known wrestler, Dusty Rhodes.
I think he got the elimination by doing a double axe handle on Dusty Rhodes.
He did,
rope.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a strong debut in a match where it's easy to get lost in there. Having him get 2 big pinfalls and then no one actually eliminate him it's a real statement of intent from WWF at the time. We are making this guy big time.
Yeah, because he got counted out, didn't he? Because who was attacking Brother Love? Someone was...
So
Dusty.
Brother Love was attacking Dusty, wasn't he? He was kicking him while he was down on the
yes,
ground.
of course. Yeah.
Dusty gets up to sort of have some retribution, and then Taker's not having any of that. So then goes out the ring and then gets disqualified, which was pretty cool actually. I quite enjoyed that. I thought it was quite a good way, because then they just brawl to the back and then he just leaves.
Yeah.
This Undertaker seems to be impervious to pain, Hot Rod.
Look at this. Look at this.
Go get him, Dusty. And look at the Undertaker come to the rescue of his manager. And look at him go to work on the American Dream.
He hits like a ton of brick, this guy.
The Undertaker has been counted out.
Oh, he was the legal man in.
Oh, yes, he looks scary. He's big, but he's dumb.
I thought some of the booking in this match in general was cool, with the way they got down to, it was 3 against 1 against Bret Hart, and then in a matter of moments it's 1-on-1 with Bret versus Ted.
Yeah,
which was great.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, which
stuff,
was
wasn't it,
great.
between those two.
And the playing possum of the Hitman and stuff on the tripping up on the when he jumped down, stuff like that. It was really, really nice.
Oh, the energy between Ted DiBiase and Bret Hart is legendary, and the finish as well, of the crossbody into the roll up.
Yeah,
just so perfectly executed.
I loved this match. Great stuff. Although, what's something weird, Greg Valentine was obviously on the team with Ted DiBiase. He had black hair. I've never seen him with black hair before.
So this was when he was part of Rhythm and Blues alongside the Honky Tonk Man, and apparently part of that was looking like the Honky Tonk Man. It was very, very odd.
Which is weird though, because he was
having that Elvis look, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was in the Rumble a few months later, back to being blonde again.
Yeah.
like a Super Saiyan.
But I don't know how he did it, because obviously all of his hair was completely black, and then in the Rumble it was all completely blonde. Like, do you have to?
It's almost like he used some kind of chemical.
But to get that, but wouldn't it go like a weird green colour? Because he's dyeing on top of. I need the science behind this, guys. Any professional dyers out there?
I don't know. I didn't notice any like boot polish coming off on any of the wrestlers or on the mat. So, I guess
so this is the Undertaker to talk about boot polished hair. Something that we're probably going to get into more as Taker's career goes on. But yeah, so this is just a very strong Survivor Series match. Let's look for a rating out of 5 stars here, guys, because we adhere to Meltzer systems here.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I was wondering this because this is difficult. You kind of, in some instances, we might need to like review what Taker did, and then review the match as a whole. Because I mean, I would say, I mean, in for this one, it's probably a similar score for me. Just to jump in and go first, I'd probably give like a 3.5 for the match, and probably similar for the debut. Like really solid, but I just know there's so much quality to come that I don't want to go too high.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Brett, where do you land on this?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd go the same overall. I'd probably go like 3 for Taker and 3.5 for the match because it's a solid match. But yeah, there's it was a solid debut, but there wasn't too much for him to do.
You've absolutely thrown me here. I'm going to have to get an Excel document up now to kind of do separate ratings.
Yes. Of course, we need a spreadsheet. I can't believe you didn't have one ready.
I will go 3 across the board.
There we go. All pretty even. Oh, although Sam, we don't know what you're too busy working out how spreadsheets work to score.
So yeah, I think kind of I'm in agreement with you there, Adam. 3.5 seems like a kind of the right score across the board for both Taker and the match itself, and this gives us our first rating of Undertaker's first match, a 3.375 overall, with the dead man himself getting a 3.25 rating. It's a good start, I think.
That is good.
Good
on
start.
Your debut, and that's good
Solid.
for us. I like that. Excellent.
And so we move on from match 1 to a little bit of an interlude. Adam, do you have an Undertaker fact for us?
I do.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker
fact?
Guys, did you know that The Undertaker, you may have seen him in the ring with Hulk Hogan before, but did you know that he appeared in a sci-fi comedy, Suburban Commando, in 1991?
No.
In 91, that early?
I did not, and I've seen Suburban Commando, but not for probably decades.
Well, the funny thing there is I was expecting you to potentially say yes, and then I was going to surprise you with another fact, which was that even though the film came out in 1991, like a year after Taker had been doing his thing, or had started doing his thing in the WWF ring, it was actually filmed a short time before his in-ring debut in 1990. So there you go.
That's a great fact. Are they all
Fact
going to be
on top
that
of a
good?
fact. It just depends what I Google shortly before we record.
But you're going to do one for
Nice.
every episode, though, right, Adam? Every
Single episode, we're going to have a new fact.
So that's going to be 174 Undertaker facts, which Adam is going to put into his book after we've finished with all this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
On my memoirs.
Amazing.
There'll be a whole chapter on Undertaker facts because there's not really much other interesting content from my life. But I should say, you say 174. If we do 2-3 matches per episode,
point.
I'm laughing here. I'm laughing.
Good point. Well made. You won't have that many pages.
Anyway, that was the first Undertaker fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker
fact?
Next episode, Adam, I want you to come up with a name for Undertaker facts, like Factor Takers, or I don't know.
Underfacted.
You can do it. Yeah. Underfacted sounds like the whole thing of hardest part of the ring. We move on to match 2, Royal Rumble 1991.
The 29 plots have been dug. The Undertaker will bury all 29 opponents. And the only thing the other 29 competitors will be doing tomorrow is
Resting in peace.
So, after some sporadic appearances on Superstars, technically recorded before his Survivor Series appearance, The Undertaker would next show up at the 1991 Royal Rumble, taking place on January 19th, 1991, in the Miami Arena. This event is notable for having strong links to being the beginning of the Gulf War. Maybe not the starting incident, but certainly involved heavily. Heavily portrayed through Hulk Hogan and, at the time, the villainous traitor Sergeant Slaughter, who had aligned himself with Iraq. And yeah, so that was kind of like the overtones for this. The Rumble itself, of course, being the main event, and Undertaker coming out number 12 in this 29-man Rumble.
Oh, because Macho Man didn't show up, did he?
That's right, yeah. He no-shows the Rumble, the first ever person to do so.
And what's the story behind that?
He got chased out of the arena earlier by Ultimate Warrior after costing him the title against Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, there was... I think after the first match, there is a horrific promo involving Sensational Sherry and Ultimate Warrior, which gets ridiculously sexual for no reason. It ends in Ultimate Warrior just screaming in her face, and I think that's what leads into the whole Macho Man Ultimate Warrior thing.
That does just sound like every interaction with the Ultimate Warrior, to be fair.
It's so weird.
So yes, of course, the main event here is the Royal Rumble, and we start the match with Bret Hart and Dino Bravo.
Oh, there's a couple of dark characters from wrestling history in this Royal Rumble, and Dino Bravo is one of them.
The first sort of I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 wrestlers, apart from the likes of Bret, and obviously there's a couple of others like him that were dropped in, but there's a lot of lumps, isn't there? A lot of just overweight guys like no particularly strong wrestling ability.
I would argue the fact that I reckon there were maybe 5 or 6 good wrestlers in this whole match.
Yeah.
It's probably could well be the worst Royal Rumble I've ever watched.
I don't think this is a good Royal Rumble.
It dragged.
It was not good.
There's a bit of it which really dragged. Like, I think after number 30 came out, it's like there's still so many people in the bloody ring.
Yeah.
Yes.
When Taker left, I was just like, okay, well, it'll end soon. And then I just thought, oh no, hold on a minute, and looked on the network and realised how long there was left.
Yeah.
No. God.
But you're right. Everyone kind of looked the same. Everyone kind of wrestled the same. So when Taker came out, it was kind of really refreshing because he's so much different. He's so different compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, looking over the list of people in this match, the first half is garbage. But
there's some highlights.
Okay, so obviously we've got Bret Hart, Dino Bravo, Greg Valentine.
Oh, I hate Greg Valentine.
Yeah.
Paul Roma. I don't recognise Paul Roma.
He was. Wasn't he Power from Power and Glory? No, he was Glory from Power and Glory, I think.
Is he?
I recognise the name, but that was about it.
Texas Tornado.
Well, yeah,
I love Texas Tornado.
The other
incredible physique.
Other dark character in this Royal Rumble. Everyone know the Von Erich family?
Yes.
6 sons.
Yeah.
5 of them died.
Yeah.
3 of them through suicide.
Yeah. Rough times, but unbelievable energy.
Yeah, he was. Did you know he also had a prosthetic foot? He lost a foot in a motorbike accident. Yeah, in the late 80s. So when you were watching it here, he had a prosthetic foot. And most of the wrestlers didn't know either. Apparently, he showered with his boots on.
That's amazing. Rick Martel, who put in a shift here.
Yeah, he did. I hate Rick Martel as well as a kid.
Set a Rumble record, didn't he? Although it's like the 3rd Royal Rumble ever. Something like that.
Good question. Yeah, maybe.
I believe the first one was in 1988. So, yeah, model Rick Martel stayed in for what, 55 minutes, something like that?
52 minutes. That's a absolute mission. I mean, I only know that because I've got Wikipedia up. I haven't researched it. I'm really not that good at this whole hosting thing.
And if you look a little bit earlier, like Greg Valentine, who, you know, I hated as a kid as well. I was just like, what? He was in there for 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was those two. It was those two, wasn't it?
Like, he must have sat in a corner for most of that, surely.
So, yeah, we did have some good people in here as well. Jake the Snake Roberts.
The fastest I've ever seen Jake Roberts move. He was like lightning in this match.
He was, for the time he was in this match, he was immense, really bringing the power.
So lean and muscular and fast. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All I could think about was just him lying on a bed in a hotel room talking about wanting to see his daughter. That's literally all I could think about.
British Bulldog, probably one of the best wrestlers to not win the title.
Yeah.
for sure. He had some great moments in this, and in fact, moments is a word that I don't think gets used often when it comes to describing this kind of match or this era, because obviously WWE focus on their moments now. But I kept on thinking throughout this match, there were hardly any spots. There were no bits where you can go, wow, that was amazing. It was all just like holds and trying to push people up over the rope, and hardly any narrative or storylines. It was just really quite dull.
Yeah, and it was quite bad in places because you had wrestlers like going after another guy, and the other guy's too busy going after someone else, so paying no attention to being hit, sort of thing. Like they didn't really seem to be too much like knowing of what each other was doing, so therefore
people just wandering around.
Yeah.
Earthquake at times was just doing nothing.
I love Earthquake so much.
I got a little soft spot for Earthquake as well, especially that bit where he does the earthquake on the ring. It's like, what's that doing?
Yeah.
And then not only that, but Jimmy Hart's jacket as well with Earthquake's face on it. Just big fan of that.
Yeah.
The man himself, the Undertaker.
What time is it? It's time for another buck. It's Rumble time. Who is it? Oh, it's the Undertaker.
3 eliminations, 15 minutes in the ring. He was one of the biggest pops of the night was him getting eliminated.
Yeah, a huge pop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
By Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom, though,
Legion
wasn't
of
it?
Doom.
Who must
In
have
a
been
really
real
perfect
favourites.
double clothesline. Really nicely done.
Look at Legion of Doom doubling up here on the Undertaker. Whoa. That ain't gonna stop them two boys. Oh, Legion of Doom just eliminated Undertaker.
And the thing, when we go back to his first elimination, obviously we talked about the Survivor Series match, how it was nice that he got to have a couple of shots against the Bret the Hitman Hart to sort of, get him over a little bit. The fact that he comes in and straight away eliminates Bret, that's a surprise.
Yeah. That's like me hating him from that point. That's like, and it was just so, he just like lifted him up both hands and just like, oh, how dare he?
That's like if that's Baron Corbin, that's him done for life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing with these old ones, though, how over Bret Hart was. Like, it wasn't even, this wasn't even at his peak of his powers.
No.
He was so over.
It wasn't.
Guys, I just started daydreaming about the idea of Baron Corbin having like another 25 years in the business. And some young upstarts in 25 years starting a series on Baron Corbin.
It'll be us, we'll do
Corbin
it.
taking.
Yeah. Can't steal our gimmick, bastards. It's us.
It'll be our kids. It'll be all our kids. We'll get together and do it.
You know what I thought was really fun? I know it's probably a clip we've seen on pretty much every Royal Rumble, but where the Bushwhacker comes in and just walks across the other side of the ring and then falls out the other side. I laughed my
favourite
arse off.
Favourite bit of the whole Rumble. Easily. That was Luke. Bushwhacker Luke. It's so funny. And that arm movement is hilarious.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that, I was thinking, I need to do that more in life. I just need to like stroll into the bank doing that.
Just incredible stuff. The Bushwhackers, underrated tag team, I reckon.
We've said this before. There's a 5-star Meltzer Bushwhacker match out there that we need to watch.
Yeah, I know. That is one I keep meaning to like see because I just can't believe it. But
yeah, episode 150. A 5-star match review.
We should.
Yeah, I mean, for his second match, like kind of the Undertaker's showing in this match is good. He really cuts his kind of morbid Frankenstein's monster-esque figure in this match, and sort of the no sell, the kind of looking like he's a literal dead man. It really works for him in this match. The amount of people who put a beat on him, and he's just kind of like, it just reminds me of Nemesis from Resident Evil.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good comparison, that actually. Do you know what I really loved about this thing as well? Like, do you know the disappointment of like when Roman Reigns comes out at number 30? Can you imagine the disappointment when it's Tugboat?
Especially when the commentators are teasing, it's either going to be Macho Man Randy Savage or Tugboat.
Yeah, especially when if you think about it, you've just had like Bushwhacker Luke, Brian Knobbs, and the Warlord.
Yeah,
and then you get Tugboat. Like it's a string of like disappointments.
I found it quite funny as well with Brian Knobbs, how a lot of the time they were just like, oh, and here's a nasty boy, and it's one of the nasty boys, and they wouldn't even call him his name, couldn't even remember. And in fact, like John mentioned there were quite a few wrestlers that may not have remembered or just had no idea who they were. One of them for me, I don't know if you guys knew of him, and maybe this is just my lack of knowledge, but Shane Douglas.
He was the ECW champion quite a few times.
Well, there you go. I mean, I don't really have any knowledge of those promotions.
He was
really,
young in this, though, very young.
It was same age as the Undertaker, 25 in this match. But the reason why I was interested in him is because he came out and then they said, what a name he's making for himself. And I thought, well, I don't know who he is. So I Googled him, and it turns out that he's still on the indie scene now, and I think he just does promotions. But he's so classic that his Twitter account, it's not verified, but he's got in his profile photo, it's him holding an A4 piece of paper that has his profile, his avatar on. And it's like, I am the real Shane Douglas. Oh, I mean, it's not Shane Douglas. I think his actual name is something different, but it's just like classic old man. You know, I am famous. This is me. It's weird.
So number 24, Hulk Hogan comes out, clean shop, wins the match.
Oh dear, Hulk's up, all the classics.
I did quite enjoy it, actually, when he was hulking up towards the end. Who was the final two, actually? Was it?
It's him and Earthquake.
Of course, yeah. I quite like the stuff between those two.
Final four was Earthquake, Bulldog, Hogan, and one of the Nasty Boys.
A Nasty Boy was in the ring. Yeah, no, it was the Hulk Hogan show. This is kind of peak Hulk Hogan as well, isn't it? This is like most important guy in the company by a mile.
Yeah.
And so I think kind of it almost must have been quite difficult to get motivated in this Royal Rumble, knowing that Hogan's going to come out and just basically wipe out the entire competition.
Yeah, I was thinking that when we were watching this, like the wrestling back then, like Hulk just didn't lose ever. It must have been weird watching wrestling.
What's very strange is obviously this is off the back of WrestleMania 6, his legendary match with the Ultimate Warrior that he loses title for title.
That makes my point completely right.
But no, it's true though, because like you look at the WrestleMania match where he loses and it's a little bit like, is this a changing of the guard?
No.
And then Hulk Hogan comes out in the Royal Rumble, eliminates everyone, and it's just a little bit like, no, it's not.
Isn't that like just Vince's way as well though? Like, makes you think like someone else is going to get a look at it and then they lose it straight away, or back to old faithful.
Speaking of Vince's boy, Shane McMahon, young referee Shane McMahon outside the ring.
Yeah,
very young. Actually, he didn't look that young.
No, that was kind of worrying. He almost looked like only about 2 or 3 years ago, I reckon. But
yeah, it did look
with
like
a mullet,
Attitude Era Shane almost. Like it seems so similar to that.
Which does lead me to believe that Shane McMahon is actually just a bi-genetic clone of Vince McMahon and didn't have a childhood.
Oh, that would make sense.
I think that's fact. We don't need to look into that. So yeah, how do we feel reviewing this Royal Rumble? It's a difficult one because just a sort of. I'm going to go first. I'm going to say it's a little bit of a nothing Rumble, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to say I was like panicking, thinking because I only watched it like this afternoon after accidentally watching Royal Rumble 90 before, which was amazing. Pretty similar, to be honest.
I can't believe that. That's so good.
I was getting to the last four and I'm like, where's the Undertaker? And they said this is the last four. Have I missed him?
Oh dear.
Amazing. But like I was panicking, thinking I've forgotten it all already, and then I realised that, like we said, there were no spots or anything, so there wasn't really anything for my mind to hold on to.
No.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think for this match, I'm going to have to give the match itself like a 2 out of 5. Taker himself, maybe 2.5. I think he was all right in this.
Yeah, I'd go exactly the same scores from me.
Yeah, me too. Like I was really excited to see all these old wrestlers, and that was really cool seeing them come out. But as soon as they got to the ring, it was just like, ugh, this is rubbish.
The wild thing is that we all thought it was pretty rubbish, and we're going to obviously that's going to be compounded by Brett's scores in a second as well. But the crowd were bloody loving it. Such a hot crowd.
The crowd were electric. They really were.
It was so nice watching something with a crowd, wasn't it? Like having that reaction. It was good.
It was. Right, I'm going to go a 2 for the Rumble and a 2.5 for the Taker. I mean, the only real
Same
great
scores all
bit
round.
was that his elimination of Bret Hart to kick off was a great elimination.
I liked it when he's who was it? He smashed two people's heads together. It was the model.
Oh, how many times did that happen in this though as well? Like, I couldn't count how many times I saw people get their heads smashed together.
Okay, I say I liked it. It was just something I remembered, so I thought I should mention it. I mean, most of my memories have been to do with Shane Douglas.
And so, overall, that's a 2 out of 5 and a 2.5 out of 5 for Taker himself. Post-match, Hulk Hogan eliminates Earthquake. And then, well, he goes into the crowd. And he helps himself to a sign or three. The one that stands out to me is Sergeant Slaughter and Saddam won't survive.
No, it says Saddam and Slaughter will surrender.
Oh, will surrender.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I wrote it down because I was
nice.
like, wow, this is incredible. And then he had another one which just said peace in the Middle East, which I'm really pleased that worked because obviously that's not an issue anymore.
They sorted that all out, and now we've got Saudi Showdown or whatever they call it. So, great job, WWE, for solving the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there really is peace in the Middle East yet, but okay.
That was my joke.
I'm going to move this on. It's weird, the whole sign thing, 'cause I just assumed there'd be loads of signs.
I
When did signs become
guess
so
this
big?
is something we're going to learn. So, behind the curtain, we had a whole segment planned for Sign of the Times, where we're going to look at the signs that the crowds have. And so we were quite excited for this. And then there were maybe 3 signs in this entire 2 pay-per-views, all of which Hulk Hogan picked up at the end and kind of displayed.
Yeah, I was expecting to see it because our memory is of like loads of signs, but we'll get to it obviously through these pay-per-views, a point where like people couldn't see the ring for signs. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, so Hulk Hogan saves America, saves the Middle East, and that was the end of Royal Rumble 1991 and the first 2 matches of The Undertaker. So yeah, it's a decent start for him. I enjoyed it. Those are difficult matches to really kind of like make a name for yourself, I think. And yeah,
very solid indeed. Sam, do you know what matches we have coming up next? If listeners wanted to watch them ahead of whenever the next Undertaking episode would be.
So yeah, after this, Undertaker's next appearance is going to be at WrestleMania 7, and that's against Jimmy Snuka. And then I believe that we're probably going to do 2 matches in this next episode of The Undertaking, because I think that's quite a short match.
Yeah, that's long.
But then, so next match beyond that, Survivor Series, once again, 1991, where he's fighting the big man himself, Hulk Hogan.
Ooh.
Okay. In a singles. All right.
Singles
I'm up
match.
for that.
Main event.
That's cool.
So we got 2 singles matches coming up next.
That's right.
Nice. So we can really get into the nitty gritty, discuss every move in detail, not have to worry about the likes of Greg fucking Valentine.
Thanks, Greg Valentine.
Yeah.
Let's see what the listeners think.
Hey, Undertaker, rest in peace, pal. Isn't that what you like to say? Oh, go get some sleep.
Is he upset?
Oh,
I think he is.
hey, check in at Motel 6. We'll leave the light on.
So we asked people what was their earliest memory of The Undertaker. And what we heard back is Adam Evans Pringles says, my earliest memory is swapping a Hasbro Nasty Boy for Taker with an older kid at school. Then washing it when I got home as it smelt a bit common. It's a bit judgmental there, Adam.
I love the fact that even Adam Evans Pringle can't tell you which Nasty Boy.
No, just one of the Nasty Boys. It's always Knobs, I think. No one ever remembers what the other one's called.
Yeah, but too busy sniggering at the word knobs.
Snags? No, was it Snags or something like that?
Snags.
Sugs? No. Yeah.
You go on to the next
Snags and knobs.
comment, and I'll find out.
Okay.
Although I'm currently googling Nasty Boys, so pray for me.
Be careful. Stay search on. Loserweight says casket match versus Yokozuna, Royal Rumble 94. Undertaker gets beaten into a casket by a gang of heels, appears on the Tron from inside, dies, and floats off to heaven. I was terrified, and my parents had to console me. People still trash that angle. I maintain it's the best thing ever. Yes,
That's also one of my first wrestling memories.
Is it? I was going to ask you guys after this, actually, so have a think.
Sorry, just to update you, Brian Nobbs and Jerry Sags.
Sags.
Oh,
Well done,
Sags.
Brett.
Well,
Very
I said
good.
snags and sugs, so I was there. If you'd have given me a second, I would have
Brett,
figured it.
I'm awarding you a podcast point for that.
Oh, podcast points. Get
Yeah,
in.
that's right.
Old school.
Wow, bringing those back. Okay, I'm going to carry on, guys, while you have your little tiff. MJ says his debut. He was very tall, but then I was short at the time.
I would hazard a guess that MJ still isn't taller than The Undertaker.
No, probably not.
I'd argue if MJ wasn't friend of the podcast, that probably wouldn't have got included.
I think you're probably right.
He was very tall, but I was short. Okay, fantastic.
I mean, that's basically me describing everyone I meet.
True.
Finally, old Mr. Beerface. Hard to be certain, but an early vivid one would have been the feud with Ultimate Warrior. Mostly when Undertaker brained him with the urn and then locked him in a casket. Would have probably seen it on a Coliseum home video at my childminders. That seems very,
What
irresponsible.
a good child, mind.
Yeah, perfectly wholesome content for a 7-year-old.
Wow.
Thanks for
Man,
getting in
that-
touch, everyone.
Brings back a memory. We used to have a babysitter who was obsessed with wrestling when we were little kids. And it wound up with my younger sister jumping off an armchair and splitting her head open. She had to get taken to hospital for stitches.
Whoa.
Trying to impersonate Hulk Hogan.
That's the story Sam's sticking to.
Yeah. Was she blading? She had a little blade in her little sock.
She was trying to impersonate Hulk Hogan 100%, but she obviously was impersonating Ric Flair.
That's great. What about our earliest?
Yeah, what
Undertaker
is yours? I was going to
memories?
start with mine. I think mine was probably like one of those Hasbro sticker albums. I think it was definitely via stickers.
Yes. Yeah. Mine's exactly the same. I can just picture the... or maybe it wasn't the sticker album, maybe it was actually the WF magazine, the one that you'd unfold and you'd get an A3 poster and you'd unfold it again and you'd get an A2 poster.
Oh, nice.
But my main memory actually wasn't so much of The Undertaker because I wasn't that fussed. And I think it was because, as I said earlier, I thought he looked a bit Halloween-y. But Paul Bearer on the other side, on the other hand,
he was
I
terrifying.
found genuinely scary.
I
voice.
vividly remember explaining to my dad what the urn and the Undertaker meant. It's like, well, he's holding up the urn. That means the Undertaker gets up, Dad. And my dad was like, what? What? It's like, it's the urn. It's the urn that powers him. Paul Bearer's got the
it
urn. and that's
controls
what-
him.
Yeah. I can't believe you can't see this, Dad. It's quite obvious.
Very
Come on,
much
Dad.
one of the main players in these upcoming episodes of The Undertaking.
Brilliant. What about you, Brett?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I mean, the casket matches definitely stick out in my mind. And otherwise than that, like the classic cards, collecting those and being on them, probably.
Those cigarette cards, you smoking 30 a day back then.
Yeah, totally.
Explains a lot. Sam?
So I used to have one of the Coliseum home videos of The Undertaker's best matches, and I was a little kid, and I always remember him beating the ever-living shit out of the Repo Man. I don't know how that ever managed to get on there. I think the Repo Man smacks him with a hubcap, and then The Undertaker proceeds to tombstone him, and then I never heard of the Repo Man again. So
Okay. Well, I'm going to take back over from you, Sam. You've done a great job. Well done. Great first episode of The Undertaking. I mean, I'm bigging up my own podcast, our own podcast, but it was a lot of fun to talk about, that's for sure. We have some big news, though, because we have a giveaway. Guys, you never come in with the ooze.
giveaway.
Ooh, it's because you say it differently, so it really throws me.
Okay.
Because you're
That's
doing the
fine.
spooky voice, so it's like, what's happening?
It's because you're genuinely transfixed with fear by my voice.
Yeah.
So the giveaway. We
Ooh.
we're delighted.
Undertaker.
We spoke about, we had a comment from Adam Evans Pringle earlier, and he is somebody who, I was going to say he's a long-term listener. I think he might be medium-term. I don't know, correct us if we're wrong, Adam, but he's been getting in touch over the last few months.
He's Attitude Era.
Yeah. Basically, he has sent us some prints He has been working on, I believe, a photography book, and he's also been doing some illustration stuff. Anyway, he got in touch to offer us some of his prints, and he said, do you want to use them for a giveaway? And it turned out that one of them was an Undertaker print. And I said, this is perfect, because we've got the Undertaking coming up and we can give them away. So if you look at our social media, it might not be up there yet, but at some point over the next few days, we'll put some pictures. We have a few different prints from Adam, but for this episode, we are going to be giving away the Undertaker one. And if you want a chance of winning that, of us sending that in the post, along with some Hardest Part of the Ring stickers and badges and some other random stuff that I might find in my drawers that I don't want anymore. And when I say drawers, I mean desk drawers. Thanks
for clarification.
Then literally all you need to do is go onto Twitter and retweet this episode. So the tweet that will be pinned on our profile that has all the information on where to listen to this episode, retweet that, share it, get more people listening, and then we'll do a random draw and we will send out that poster to the winner. We'll probably announce that, if not in the next few episodes, and definitely by the time the next Undertaking episode comes round. So there you go.
That's right.
Very nice.
Next podcast, we are going to be back to normal pay-per-view reviews, because we have AEW Double or Nothing, which I'm very excited about because I think they've been doing some very interesting stuff recently. And apart from that, we're just going to be doing our thing, washing our hands, staying in lockdown, keeping alert. Brett, how alert are you? Are you ready with the email?
So if you can send your emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or you can get us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We are at Hardest Part Pod.
Perfect. Thank you very much to everybody who's downloaded and listened. Please feel free to go and rate and review. But until we are back with our Double or Nothing review, it is goodbye from me, Adam.
Can I say one last thing?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Please give us feedback on how you feel about these Undertaking episodes as well.
Oh, yeah.
We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take that. I'll allow that interruption. But what I was going to say is goodbye to you, Sam, and thank you very much for doing all that prep. It was a joy to come to a podcast without having to do much prep at all.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, goodbye to you too. Goodbye to everyone.
And goodbye to you, John.
Goodbye.
And goodbye, Brett.
Goodbye.
That was the hardest part of the ring.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That was pretty good. I was impressed with that.
That was
really
better.
spot on.
Yeah.
Quite embarrassed.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest